Man, I didn't expect Marvel to go this far to correct the issues that these Karens had about the King Conan comic by Jason Aaron, and I think the guy's name is Mahmoud Asrar, I think it is. I knew they were going to change the name. And I know Jason Aaron apologized and was like, I didn't know, or I was insensitive, and I didn't realize Mataoka was a name for it. I don't know if he necessarily said he didn't know. I can't remember the apology. At the time, when this first came out, I just thought it was funny. You know, all the times that he's been trying to appease and appeal to these idiots on Twitter, trolling fans about Thor, trolling fans about She-Hulk, all that didn't mean anything to these Karens. As soon as they see something they don't like, they just turned on him and like I said, like wild dogs and wild curs. I didn't say that here. I said that maybe in the previous video. That they'll just turn on you. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter if you've been an ally, quote unquote, for years with them. They will turn on you because they don't exist for allies or friendship. They exist for a reason to complain. They're looking for something to complain and grandstand about and to virtue signal about. One of the reasons why feminism and cultural critique is useless is because they don't understand or don't care about art and fiction. They don't have any investment in it. They don't see that an artist who's curious can be from any race, any gender, any religion, any type of background, and be curious about something else, find it inspirational, and then use it in their own work. It doesn't matter. This whole cultural appropriation thing, this whole thing about, white people stole rock from black people. And that is, quote unquote, true. It's true in the sense that, yeah, white people, I don't even say stole. They got inspired by the blues and rock, and they sort of making their own music. The issue isn't the artistic theft, as it were. It's the societal, structure where white people were allowed to produce this music and allowed to, get audiences where black people were, held back. But as far as artists go, they've always respected white and black. Have always respected. And then, it's maybe just an individual people who have been racist and just said, I don't care. I'm just going to take the music for myself. But it didn't matter. Like, people get inspired by one. Creative people are always inspired by one another. And it's a society issue that keeps certain people back. But these cultural critiques or these critics or these fucking idiots, these dumb feminists who get online and complain, they don't care about what the real issue is. They just have a project. Like I say all the time, it's a pet project. The things that they complain about have nothing to do with the medium that they're attacking. Like King Conan, there's nothing wrong with a sexy queen who looks kind of like a Mayan goddess or whatever, being in a King Conan comic. Does it hurt Pocahontas at all? Nobody reading King Conan is going to be like, man, I wish they didn't do this because I feel bad about Pocahontas' real life story. But, when Jason Aaron when Jason Aaron apologized, that wasn't enough. So I knew that they were going to change the name. Because I personally believe that Jason Aaron, this guy wrote Scalped, right? It's like, 60 issues about Native Americans. So I know in his research, he knows that Pocahontas is one of her names is Mataoka. I didn't know that, and Pocahontas is one of the people in history I'd like and find interesting, but I didn't know her name was Mataoka. But anyway, I believe he knew it, but I don't think he thought anybody would care that he's using that name because it's fictional, but it's also related to, it might be slightly related to it, but it's just an interesting remix for him. That's what I'm thinking. I don't think he thought anybody would know or really even care. In this day and age, of course, people are going to care or pretend to care because outrage is their business. Outrage is the name of the game. If you had a reasonable appreciation of art and entertainment, then, there's nothing for you to do but just be online and be bored. If all you want to do is attack and pretend that you're fighting for society or for humanity. Like I said, Mataoka looking hot and sexy, this King Conan version of Mataoka looking hot and sexy, Doesn't have anything to do with Pocahontas. It doesn't ruin Pocahontas' legacy. If she really was assaulted and all this stuff, kidnapped, and she wasn't really married, by her own volition, that's not going to change things. And also, Matawoka looking sexy and hot is not going to make people think less or differently of Pocahontas. Like, the two don't relate to one another at all. I laugh at the fact that Jason Aaron apologized, because I was like, fuck you, dude, you're a fucking idiot. And I laughed. Laughed at the fact that he gave his meager salary to some, what's the word, charity of his choice. Like, who cares? Doesn't mean anything. Like, all that stuff is stupid. You let people run you over who don't read your comic, who don't care about it. But you shit on actual fans for years. So fuck you. Right? But like I said, I was thinking, well, they're going to change the name and they're going to go into your comic that you bought, your digital comic, and they're just going to change the name and that's it. But no, they actually changed her look too. Like, I'm telling you, I was surprised that Mataoka looked sexy in the first place. I'm surprised she didn't look like how they changed her to in the first place. But now they just like, you know what? They complained about the name, and they complained about the fact that you've turned Pocahontas into the sex goddess, and that doesn't reflect the fact that the real Pocahontas was a 13-year-old girl who was assaulted and kidnapped. Two different people. One is real, who had a real life story, and the other one is a fictional character in the Conan world. And it's stupid, now that, we know that they went into your digital comic and they've changed the look and it looks stupid. The first one was cool, hot, and sexy, and it fit the King Conan universe. The new one is a joke. It's like, again, it's this thing where you're minding your own business, reading a comic and, appreciating the art, appreciating the sexy woman in this King Conan comic. You've paid for this comic. And instead of Marvel supporting what you've been reading, what you paid for, what you didn't complain about, they're taking somebody from the outside who just decided to make hay about something that's not the issue. And they just changed the comic on you. So the next time you go back and look at that comic, you're now looking at Mataoka, who has a new name. And she's wearing, like, Wes said, I've always said this in my real life, potato sack. They put a fucking potato sack on this girl. They changed the feathers to something that looks like two brooms, like the ends of two brooms, but really big. It just looks stupid. It doesn't look sexy. It's taken the complete impact away from the art. Here it is, this overcorrection. They did it to Greg Smallwood in that Electra. I called it black and white when I talked about it in the previous video. But I think it's black and red, or red and white, or Electra red, blood red. I don't know. I didn't read any of those comics. Because, they keep interfering. And I'm mostly done with Marvel. I like, they don't support the fans. So, like, the fans didn't complain. The readers didn't complain. Somebody outside of the book complained. And now you can't trust buying digital comics because they're going to be changed on you. So I can't even say, well, I didn't buy it digitally. I'll buy the physical copy. Because what's going to happen is, even if you bought the issue where she looked like she looked originally, this Mataoka character, the next issues, she'll look like an idiot. She'll look like she's been Sharia lawed, like she's been Sharia'd, like, this whole puritanical, silly nonsense. And when I looked for the pictures, the before and after pictures, I went to Screen Rant and Bleeding Comics, two of the worst, shittiest sites in the world. And Screen Rant, you have this stupid white guy. You see this picture, you get a cap, he's a douchebag, writing this long, proselytizing, fake bullshit story about, well, I'm really glad, it's really good that some Karen came out and explained to the world how bad the use of Mataoka in the image was, because otherwise people never even realized it. And it's like, yeah, dipshit, that's the whole point. Nobody would have ever thought to connect Mataoka with Pocahontas. Even when you say it, I still don't connect it to. I just go, okay, yeah, there are people who are complaining about the fact that this character is some slightly inspired or based on Pocahontas. So what? Big deal. Like I said, art, people take inspiration from all sorts of things. They get remixed, and it doesn't matter. Just because her name is Matooka, it's not Pocahontas. It's a totally fictional situation. But you have people who pearl clutch and hand wring about the dumbest shit. And like I said, Marvel doesn't support their fans. They don't support their creators. They just bend over backwards for people who are not actually spending money. That's why, fuck them. I don't care if Marvel goes in the toilet. But yeah, so I actually believe that Aaron did know that Matooka was one of Pocahontas' names, but I don't think he thought it was going to be a big deal. And it's ironic that all these years he spent making fun of and shitting on customers and fans, he didn't get any kind of leeway or any kind of benefit of the doubt when it came to him just doing the natural artist thing, finding inspiration in something else and using it in his current work. But we're always going to have that as long as we have people in charge of Marvel, in charge of like editing and in charge of hiring and in charge of like how they deal with their fans and customers. We're never going to be sure what's going to happen next. They could put out something one day and then 2 weeks later they can change it because somebody complained. Unless, of course, you're a Christian comic fan and you complained about Jesus being referred to as a mutant in Immortal X-Men issue 1. They're not going to change that. All the Christian comic fans can complain about that and they will just ignore you. Trust me. They're very selective about who they want to offend. If you're a fan, if you're a reader, you're a customer, they'll offend you till the cows come home. Jason Aaron has been doing it for years. But if you're somebody who don't read comics, but just complain about it because you don't like the format or the medium, then they'll do everything they can to appease you. It's a crazy, topsy-turvy, bizarro world that we're living in. And nerd culture has been taken away from nerds. Like, we're still here, but our wishes and concerns are not being addressed. Only the people outside of the culture are being listened to. Take care.